The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Go Cowboys! This is the Cowboys Nation podcast with instant reactions and analysis to breaking news and events in Cowboys Nation.
Everybody, you know what time it is. It's time for the Dallas Cowboys Podcast Nation, and we are going to break down day one of the draft, what was, and more importantly, what will be as we look forward to day two with Patrik Walker. Long-time Cowboys scribe Mickey Spagnola, who was doing this job before our own Ambar Garcia was born.
Oh, wow.
And I'm Newy Scruggs.
Whoa.
But that means Mickey's sage.
Absolutely.
Mickey, through the years, Mickey has become my...
Seen it all.
Well, Mickey's the guy I go to. I'm like, Mickey, make me feel good about something. You know, like, let me ask you about that. So that's what my time with Mickey back in the old days and 105.3 The Fan, the Alamo Dome, when we were doing those early radio hits. Yes, this is way back in the day, man. Yes, Mick's been around for a minute here. We appreciate his knowledge. All right, I want to get everyone's thoughts on Tyler Guyton, offensive tackle, Oklahoma being the number one pick. The Cowboys were at 24. They end up trading down. They end up picking an extra third. And so they get Tyler Guyton. Amber, I'm going to start with you ladies first.
Well, I mean, I'm just glad they were able to get an offensive lineman. And I love that he has the flexibility to play both positions, guard and tackle, and just move around. But it was kind of surprising that they were able to trade back, because as offensive linemen and offensive guys just kept falling off or getting picked on the board, you started wondering, okay, what's that guy left, that other guy left, that one left, okay, what are we gonna do here? But they were able to manage to essentially get exactly what they were looking for and wanting, which was do a trade back, but still stay in the first round, get a guy, and then add another pick later in the draft. So they were able to get everything they wanted. I know this guy, he has the size. He and you, Patrik, you were with him earlier this morning. You'll talk about that. But I love the fact that the Cowboys have such a great history drafting offensive linemen. Okay. In the first round, it's been very, very successful. So that's what I'm tying myself into. Like, okay, they know what they're doing every time they draft a first-round pick with a no lineman.
Trust.
And yes, I trust absolutely what Will McClay and his team, the evaluations that they do throughout the pre-draft and all of that. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see him, and I'm excited to hear how excited he is to be part of the Cowboys. But more than that, be able to try to follow the footsteps of Tyron Smith and what he left behind in that position.
All right. We're hoping to hear from him at 3:30 right here at the Star, where we are doing this podcast at right now. All right, Mickey. Amber said she trusts the Cowboys. Trust requires three things: time, proof, and consistency.
Right.
When it comes to taking out offensive linemen in the first round, they have some of that. Give me your initial thoughts.
My initial thoughts were their intent was to trade down. So when I interviewed Jerry for the draft party, we taped something around 4:30, and I said, hey, you've made 71 draft day trades. What are the chances you trade down, pick up an extra pick, and still get a guy you want? And he said 80% chance.
Wow. He gave it to you straight, didn't he?
So
told you the truth.
I was like, well, all right, let's go. So I knew trading down, and I thought trading down is what they should have done, because by the time they got to 24, unless somebody fell out of the sky like CeeDee Lamb did to 17, that they'll have 4 or 5 guys they wouldn't mind having. So they get to 24, and when you looked at the board, it's like, okay, you could probably go down a few picks and get somebody you want. Well, if they had 4, if I was ranking them, they ended up with the 4th of those 4 because they certainly would have liked Graham Barton. They would have liked Josh, the tackle from Arizona. Jordan, yeah. And then Darius Robinson was in play. They liked him. The defensive coordinator liked him, but he was off the board. So the last guy standing of the 4 was Guyton. And my only reservation is he hasn't played that much college football, hadn't started that many games. You know, when somebody compared it to, well, they took Tyron Smith. Well, Tyron Smith started 3 years at Southern Cal, and he was only 20 years old. So now you got a guy with limited experience, and he's going to change positions because he had been a right tackle. Now, I understand he was on the right side, maybe because the quarterback was left-handed and he was protecting the blind side, but I want to see him be able to make that transition. To me, the key thing of this whole deal is what they do with the third-round pick. Because if they hit on the third-round pick, then it's like, okay, I'm down with this. Because that's what they did in 2013 with Travis Frederick, traded down, got him at the 31st pick, and then picked up Terrence Williams in the third round. So they ended up 2 for 1. They got 2 starters out of 1 pick.
So let me go back a little bit here when you talked about him not playing a lot of football. I sent a text to Gary Patterson, his coach at TCU, recruited him. He said he was a basketball player. Ended up just trying to play football, and then they gave him a scholarship. When I think basketball player, offensive lineman, very tall guy, Rayfield Wright comes to my head.
Right.
And you do Rayfield very well. Can I go down that road?
Rayfield played a lot of football, though, right? This guy transferred from TCU and arrived there as a tight end defensive player, and then they kind of moved him to offensive tackle. He just didn't start that many games at Oklahoma. That's my only reservation. They say he's got good feet, so you need to have good feet if you're playing left tackle, right? And you got to be pretty tough, and he seems to have that. But again, think about it this way. He was the 8th offensive tackle off the board. 8th. Could have had the 1st or 2nd center off the board, right? Could have had the 2nd or 3rd defensive tackle off the board. I look at this and I think there's a transition period, and they're hoping beyond hope that he's a day one starter at left tackle.
Well, when we were at the press conference last night, and I forgot who asked the question about how quickly he can be a plug-in guy, and McCarthy made a comment saying, well, we still draft for the future. And as soon as I heard we draft for the future, I'm like, oh boy. The last thing I have is future time. I need it now. So that's the experience is kind of concerning.
You don't want Chuma Edoga biding time till he's ready to start?
Yeah, please don't. Please don't. So when it comes to the lack of experience, you could cut that in 2 different ways. One, you could say lack of experience, that creates a concern, justifiably so. You could also say lack of experience means he hasn't had enough time to pick up any bad habits, or it makes it easier for him to transition to a left tackle position because he hasn't committed 4, 5, 6 years of his most recent football journey to right tackle. So it should make for an easier conversion because he doesn't have such a deep foothold at right tackle. And speaking with the young man today, as I was chronicling his journey from the tarmac over here to the Star, he actually said, and I'll quote, "I prefer left tackle." So he's going to a spot that he prefers to play, and he does have elite footwork. I spoke with him about, how playing basketball helped him in that aspect, helped him have some of the best footwork in the class. He does, and he admitted, he does need to work on his hand placement, right? So, does he have opportunity to grow? Absolutely. If not, he would have been like a top 10 pick. I love what Ambar said. The Cowboys did find themselves in a situation where, 6 offensive tackles are flying off the board alongside these quarterbacks. But the defensive run that started at pick number 15, that's what really helped the Cowboys get in position where they could probably trade down. And anybody that's been following me the past few weeks, I've been team trade back for weeks now. And more specifically, as I put in my mock draft, I wanted the Cowboys to hold tight at 24 because I thought the Detroit Lions would come a-calling. I wanted Detroit's 73rd overall pick back in the 3rd round. And that's exactly what happened for the Cowboys. Stephen Jones said last night that they were working 4 different trades. They had 4 people on the phones with 4 different teams, and the Lions were the last ones to come to the table, but the Lions had the best offer. Keeping in mind that it is a slight overpay as far as the Jimmy Johnson draft value chart is concerned. But, the Lions wanted their guy, and I commend Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, Will McClay for holding that line and saying, hey, if you really want him, you're going to have to slightly overpay. So I think they worked it wonderfully. I love what Mickey said in the aspect of if you hit on this third-round pick, on that 73rd overall pick, and you combine that with the package of what Guyton can become for you, that's a win-win. So I think the Cowboys in a good position. His playing demeanor, Guyton's, is very similar to his left guard, which is Tyler Smith. They both are brutal. They both love to play violent football. And this is a kid who also grew up a Cowboys fan. And we hear that a lot. But if you look at some of the footage that I was able to post, look at his father coming off of the plane adorned in a Tashard Choice jersey, right? Go his father at the locker room, putting the helmet on. They're emotional. They're crying. His whole family
was doing little angel figures on the field, laying on the ground.
This is a family you can tell by it. His father has been a lifelong Cowboys fan. He's raised his kids to be lifelong Cowboys fans. The mom is a lifelong Cowboys fan. So this is quite literally a dream realized for this young man. And I don't say that haphazardly, because when you have a guy like that who's coming in, he's going to feel the need that much more to be great quickly as opposed to waiting around to be so.
So go around the table here.
Yeah.
Start with you, Mickey. And you kind of went down that road a little bit. What if he's not a day one starter? I looked in that, to me, coming into the draft with so much that was left, I felt that they needed to make sure all of these picks were walk-in starters, or if they weren't walking in starting, playing significant minutes for this football team by the end. Your thoughts, because you kind of put it right here, he hadn't played a lot of football. May not be the most prudent thing to throw him right on out here.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see what happens, because they don't have anything. Now, they spoke highly of Udoka, that he struggled, by the way. And you can always follow the money. When they re-signed him, it was veteran minimum, right? So he didn't have many other offers, and that was kind of an insurance policy to at least have a veteran guy on the offensive line. They can talk about Let's Go and Ball and, these other guys that may challenge for, you would think, the backup spot, but those guys haven't played either.
And plus, Steven said last night that Ball is going to start
on at guard. So really, Let's Go.
Awesome Richards.
Yeah, and they had him playing mostly guard last year.
And he didn't see the field at all.
Right.
Regardless of the injuries.
So they really need him to be able to step up, because I think you don't want to do what you did 2 years ago when Tyron got hurt and at the last minute, sorry, Tyler Smith, you got to play left tackle, right? And then start playing, musical chairs on the offensive line. So it's really imperative that he's ready to go, and he's going to have to get a crash course. And I think Mike Solari is a very good offensive line coach. He kind of sanctioned this pick. He liked him.
Okay.
So that bodes well. From my understanding, the scouts were all high on him. No one kind of walked out and said, oh, geez, we got left with this. So again, when you make that bet on the trade down, you got to hope you win, and they barely got by, because if he had been gone, although they had
more deals working. They had a chance to move back.
They could have gone down again.
Right. They had Kansas City on the phone.
But they knew what Kansas City wanted, right? Because they wouldn't have talked trade with Kansas City for their pick unless they told them, what are you looking for, right? So they knew that. And then they probably knew who was at 28. They took wide receiver. Who took the wide receiver from Texas?
Kansas City.
That was Kansas City.
Kansas City.
Xavier Worthy?
Yeah, Worthy. Okay, so they knew what they wanted. So you were pretty good there that your four guys, you were going to get one of them. But you still had to hold your breath a little bit, right? Because you never know if somebody else trades down and they get an offensive lineman.
So a couple things. I think, and I'll put my money on the table, I think that come opening weekend, I think Guyton is starting at left tackle. I think that's going to happen. I think they're going to put him in the crash course, and they're going to throw him out there in training camp and mini camp and rookie mini camp and OTAs, and they're really going to try to get him up to speed. And I think they're going to feel comfortable enough when week one comes around that they're going to put him out there. Second of all, I will say that I think it's telling of his upside that both the New England Patriots and the Washington Commanders were trying to trade back up into the first round to get Tyler Guyton. This is something that Guyton revealed to me. He said his agent told him that once the call was made with the Cowboys. So that tells you, Dan Quinn, he's at it again. Dan Quinn was trying to come back up and get him. So that's another reason why Stephen Jones, Jerry Jones chose not to accept another trade back, because they felt like if they dropped back to 32, then the Commanders might have been successful in getting Guyton or the Patriots. So, and I just say all that to say, yeah, there are things that, we have rightful concerns about when it comes to lack of experience. But even then, when you look at, he had 355 snaps in pass pro last year for Oklahoma. He allowed 0 sacks. So the kid can play.
He's a big man.
Kid can play.
He's a big man.
Yeah, we can start with that, right?
Yeah.
He's big.
Yeah.
He's a basketball player.
He walked up to Brock Hoffman to introduce himself in the locker room, made Brock Hoffman look like Deuce Vaughn.
Me. Huh?
Right. It was like, you remember the movie Twins?
Yes.
DeVito and Schwarzenegger? Yes. That's what it looked like when they were introducing. And for those, if you've never stood next to Brock Hoffman, if you're a normal-sized human being like we are, Brock Hoffman is not a small dude.
I haven't seen Tyler Guyton yet.
It's a big guy.
But I remembered the first time I saw Walter Jones. It was a Florida State USC game in the Coliseum. And they're walking out there and you're like, oh, he's different. And Walter Jones is a huge human being. Went on to help Florida State win a championship and won a Super Bowl, and then went to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So I'm wondering, will I have that Walter Jones type moment?
You will.
Because
as a matter of fact, when I was headed down here, I was getting ready to go through PR, and he and the family were all in the hallway, right? And I looked, and I'm going, I don't see anywhere to sneak through here. I better go a different way.
He is imposing.
He's huge.
He is.
He really is huge. Now he's got to play huge.
That's a good start. Hey, let's get our first break in here. When we come back, let's dive into round 2 and 3 tonight. The Cowboys have the 56th pick in the second round, the 73rd pick in the third round, and another third-round pick at 87. Who do you want to see them take? Where should they go? What do you want to see, Patrick? What do you want to see, Mickey? What do you want to see, Amber? I'm Newy Scruggs. This is the Dallas Cowboys Podcast Nation. We're diving into round 2 and 3 next, right here on DallasCowboys.com radio.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
What do you call a group of grown men and women with their faces painted silver and blue who get together every week to share a 3-hour-long ritual of jumping, singing, and toasting Miller Lite in 10-gallon hats while yelling, "How about them Cowboys?" You call it Miller Time in Dallas. Here's to the Cowboys. Here's to the original light beer. It's Miller Time. Celebrate responsibly. 2021 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now, you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
When you build, you start with the foundation. And home ownership is a foundation of a stable future. The Bank of America Community Home Ownership Commitment has helped over 34,000 people lay the groundwork so far, with up to $10,000 towards your down payment or 3% of the purchase price, whichever is less. The satisfaction of owning your own place can become a reality. Visit bankofamerica.com/homeowner to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America N.A. Equal Housing Lender. Credit and collateral is subject to approval. Restrictions apply. This is not a commitment to lend.
Back to the Cowboys Nation podcast.
And here we are.
You scare me.
Star in Frisco. I'm excited.
Startled you.
I love the draft. I love what it means and what it represents. It's just a cool thing. The draft is just. I was watching the Joe Montana documentary on Peacock, and they were just going back into when he was drafted. Remember our conversations, Mickey, you ran with when Gil Brandt had talked about focusing and trying to get Joe Montana out of Notre Dame for himself. But he's like, yeah, but we had a third guy who was pretty good, and Glenn Carano. A lot of people know his daughter was a former MMA fighter and on The Mandalorian. But Glenn Carano was a good quarterback. So I love the draft and the stories that go behind it. So, Patrik Walker joining us right here, DallasCowboys.com. Mickey Spagnola, DallasCowboys.com. Ambar Garcia, DallasCowboys.com. I am Newy Scruggs. I'm not of DallasCowboys.com, but I'm here doing a show today. So, we've got one pick for the Cowboys in round 2. Round 2 starts tonight, 6 p.m. The Cowboys are slated to pick 24th overall. That is pick 56, and it's supposed to go down at 7:43. Mr. Walker, sir. Mm-hmm. In your own world, now you were on point. You hit call, trade on down. Put the cap back on. Give me the science. What would you like to see Jerry do with this second round pick?
I tell you what, a name that keeps popping in my head. I'll two hats. First hat is on my head. Second hat will be on Jerry's head. Edgerrin Cooper is still on the board. If Edgerrin Cooper is there at 56. How can you not, right? How can you not? So for me, that linebacker, top position of need, right up there alongside offensive line, there you go. Because if you look at the depth on offensive line, I know a lot of tackles went off the board, but they're no longer looking for tackles. Now they're looking for a center, interior line. You can get one in the third. You have a 73rd overall now. So that's earlier in the round. Right,
the league is not that. I can't imagine the league is that dumb that they're going to let Edgerrin Cooper fall. A guy was a linebacker with the ability to rush. I can't believe it.
I agree that it's really unbelievable, but we are also analyzing a team who has a roster with CeeDee Lamb on it. So I say that to say really
crazy
just
things
never
happened
know.
yesterday in the draft.
You just never Hi, Atlanta. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So you just never know. So again, I say, this is my cap on. If Edgerrin Cooper, for whatever reason, is there at 56, you cannot make that call fast enough. Likely that he's not, which means now here's the hat that Jerry is wearing. I don't know if he could have talked up Jonathan Brooks anymore, to the point where Stephen and Will had to pull him back.
Hi.
Yeah, hi. In my 30 years of doing this, he's the best player interview I've ever had. He's hi. Okay. We already knew the Cowboys were high on Jonathan Brooks, high on Jonathan Brooks. We already knew that Dr. Dan Cooper, lead physician for the Cowboys, is who did his ACL surgery to repair the torn ACL. So there's a direct line right there. No, none of the teams has as much medical insight on that particular player as the Dallas Cowboys. We also know that the Dallas Cowboys love to use their second-round picks as their dice rolls. And we also know that the Cowboys have a very big need at running back. So I think if Jonathan Brooks is there, which is much more realistic than Edgerrin Cooper, I think they go Jonathan Brooks there.
Amber, what your dream scenario? Round 2, pick 56.
I don't know if I should say what's really on my mind because
that's why we do the show.
Man, okay, I'm gonna say it, but I still have needs in the offensive line. Center is one of them, yes. biggest needs. But at the same time, and we hear all the time how the Cowboys, you draft for best talent available. And for some reason, and I don't want to get too ahead of myself because it's too early and too soon to tell what Tyler may become. Guyton, just to specify. Yes. But right now, to me, after the pick, it just felt like you kind of were forced to draft because of need rather than best talent available. And that's just me personally, and it goes back into the amount of experience. So therefore, even though they drafted him, I still feel a big void in the line, in the offensive line, specifically center. Yes. You're going to need that. But going back to, for example, you were talking about the running back. For me, even though that's needed, I think the conversations about this whole Ezekiel Elliott and them having a couple of beers and they just casually ran into each other and all of that. I feel like if you solidify the O-line, I think, let's say, if the Zeke happens and they're able to bring him back, along with the guys that you currently have, Rico Dowdle, and the combination of that, you can have a decent running game that a lot. I don't know why you're making that face.
No, because you're on Twitter as well. You ever seen that GIF where it's like the young girl and she's like, "Why not both?" That's how I feel about it when it comes to attacking center over the course of the second round and third round. Preferably no later than the 73rd overall pick that you got back from the Lions. You have to be center no later than that. Okay, so I 100% agree, and you and I know because we're on the break together. You know how much I value center. I value center more than tackle, even though I value tackle as well. But it's about protecting the interior of the line. So I want to see that. I'm right there with you. And yeah, the Zeke news spoke more in depth with Jerry and Steven after the press conference yesterday, where they really got a little bit more serious about it. It wasn't as casual as they made it out to be. It's a very real thing. Zeke could be back in the building, but drafting a running back is not going to preclude them from possibly reuniting with Ezekiel Elliott, so that's key as well. But even if you get Jonathan Brooks and you have Ezekiel Elliott and you have Rico Dowdle, whom I'm a big fan of, you're still going to need your horses up front. And Brock Hoffman can be a horse for you, but can he be the horse effective week 1, 2024? If you believed that, then you wouldn't have these conversations saying, oh, well, I can still get a quality starting center as late as the third round. So they believe in Brock Hoffman, but with an asterisk.
Mickey.
Yeah, I agree with that. And, I think with picking up the extra third-round pick, you're in a pretty good position in the second round that you don't have to just draft for need, because you've got a lot of needs. I've been saying all along, starting with the first round, if I had a dartboard and I took off the numbers and put positions and I blindfolded through a dart, whatever I hit, they need. They had a lot of needs coming into this draft. Center, running back, linebacker, defensive tackle, maybe defensive end. You name the position, and I can make an argument that they need that.
Defensive back.
Yeah. Who's your fourth defensive back, by the way, right now? So, again, with that second-round pick, I think they have the luxury to say, well, okay, let's see who's here, and then I'm going to get the guy, and they mentioned it yesterday, that makes this team better, not by position, but by talent. And the other thing we got to consider with that extra third-round pick, now their third-round pick, which is, 87?
87, yeah.
You could package that now. You would have a luxury, or you can package a fifth to move up if you see somebody you really want. So the centers are there. I was a fan of Zach Frazier, West Virginia. Yeah. He's still there. The linebacker that we just talked about, Cooper. Is there a defensive tackle that's still there? I don't
from Texas.
I don't know what they feel about his background, but he's pretty talented.
The linebacker from NC State, Peyton Barber.
Yeah, and that guy's got some.
That's why
he in the center from Oregon. There's some medical questions, but again, could potentially. I mean, I put it like this: based on that, they should be a consideration, and we know they're the ones who take the flyers on those kind of
right, especially in the second round, and that would include Jonathan Brooks, right, coming off the ACL. Now, every indication is that he's doing well,
he'll be okay,
but he's not with them rehabbing, right? He's rehabbing with whoever he's doing. So they would get him for 2 months. They feel pretty good from the assessment of Dr. Cooper doing the surgery that all he tore was his ACL. Nothing else. No meniscus, no lateral, ligament, no MCL. It was just the ACL. And they feel like he would be ready to at least start training camp on PUP to get in better condition before they opened him up to football. So the Zeke thing doesn't affect that at all.
Exactly.
Zeke is a 1 year, hey, we'd love to have you, kind of little insurance. He could be there, what Marion Barber was before he took over the starting job, Okay, we're at the 5-yard line, Zeke. Get on in there and get in the end zone, by the way. Let's not have to take 3 shots to get in the end zone. All those positions, they have a need, and these next 3 picks, I think, are vital that they hit guys that can contribute. Not necessarily as a full-time starter, but somebody that can contribute to make the team better.
Okay. Let's take our break. I want to know, for you, okay, we're sitting here, it's day 2 of the draft with 3 picks. What's the one position that has to be addressed? For you to be happy with the Cowboys, they have had to make a pick at this position. We'll do that next right here on Dallas Cowboys Podcast Nation.
The season is finally here. For months, we've been gearing up to win. Now it's time for the team that performs on any field, United Ag and Turf. With John Deere zero turns for mowing, compact tractors for loading, mini excavators for digging, Gator utility vehicles for hauling, implements for grading, hay tools for baling. United Ag and Turf, for winning. The official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com for more.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
This week! Did you get to work on time?
Yeah, but I just realized it's Sunday.
Little Sweet says head on home. Dr. Pepper's on its way. So sweet, unique. Baby, there's nothing better. I bet you've probably done something that deserves a Dr. Pepper. Did you invest your nest egg in an NFT?
Yeah, and I don't even know what that is.
It's a non-fungible token. Everyone's done something that deserves a Dr. Pepper.
When you build, you start with the foundation. And home ownership is a foundation of a stable future. The Bank of America Community Homeownership Commitment has helped over 34,000 people lay the groundwork so far, with up to $10,000 towards your down payment or 3% of the purchase price, whichever is less. The satisfaction of owning your own place can become a reality. Visit bankofamerica.com/homeowner to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America N.A. Equal Housing Lender. Credit and collateral is subject to approval. Restrictions apply. This is not a commitment to lend.
Back to the Cowboys Nation podcast.
All right. I'll be calm when I say it.
No, you be you.
You don't
be
want to
you.
startle her.
No.
You're advising other people to be themselves? You should take your own advice.
Oh, my gosh.
Dallas Cowboys Podcast Nation. I am Newy Scruggs, joined by Ambar Garcia. We got Mickey Spagnola, Patrik Walker, and we are going to get you ready for the press conference coming up. The Cowboys' first-round draft pick, Tyler Guyton, out of Oklahoma, 6'8", massive man who's going to be manning a tackle position for the club. The Cowboys have 3 picks in day 2. Pick 56 in round 2, pick 73 in round 3, pick 87 in round 3. What is the one position that you say, if they make these 3 picks, they better have this spot taken, Patrik?
Center.
Okay, Mickey.
Center, and we don't know the answer to this, like what they're going to do with Micah Parsons, linebacker or defensive end.
Okay.
So if he's a linebacker, I need a defensive lineman. If he's a defensive lineman, I need a linebacker.
True.
So maybe what they do will tip a hand on where the plans are.
You don't think he'll stay kind of the same role that he's been having?
I think he is not as effective as a full-time defensive end as he can be as a linebacker. And then when it's 3rd and 8, then he's a defensive end. He can rush. I don't want people on 1st and 10 knowing where he's lining up, because I want to be able to blitz him. I want him to be able to chase and not get neutralized by a 330-pound offensive lineman when he's 250.
Go back to what Rick Gosselin had. He stacked up some numbers for the the late Derek Thomas when he was playing in the 4-3 and when he was playing in the 3-4, much more effective as a linebacker. And just what you talked about there, being able to really utilize the skills to make people think about what he could do.
Well, when he first caught my attention before the draft, he's playing linebacker at Penn State, and he could diagnose the hole to hit to make the tackle in the running game. And God knows this team better get better against the run, or I don't care what they do on the offensive line. They're going to have to outscore people, because if they can't stop the run the way they couldn't stop it in the 6 losses they suffered, then they're going to be no better than they were a year ago.
Which, for me, is why I've got to see a defensive tackle. Okay?
I'm not mad at it.
I am sitting here to myself, and I don't know what exactly is going on with Mozzie, but I'm not just going to trust he'll be better in year 2 and everything's fine. I need to see some beef. And then I go back to, and all of us here at the table understand, the Cowboys did a great job of making sure Dan Quinn had the type of personnel that he wanted. If you're going to make this work for Mike Zimmer, you've got to give him what he wants, and the personnel's different. Mike likes big boys up front. He also likes bigger linebackers. So you have to change the personnel you have, and that means, to me, you've got to get some beef up front. Mickey, you talked about the fact that the 6 losses they had, people able to run down their throats. But how about the playoff losses? San Francisco and Green Bay ran on them.
Well, and by the way, when you mentioned
Aaron Jones,
the 4-3 and Mike Zimmer, Steven went out of his way to point out that Mike Zimmer likes to play a 4-3. He wants 3 linebackers on the field, not some skinny-ass safety acting like a linebacker.
Right. His philosophy is
that's true.
His philosophy is different than Dan Quinn's.
And again, and I'll let Amber go here real quickly, when Micah Parsons did the interview with Jordan Love from the Super Bowl, and he basically asked him, what did you see that how you attacked our defense? And he goes, well, I don't like to talk, meaning he didn't want to talk smack. But he said, we realized last year when we played you, we beat you running the football. And then we realized you had a safety playing linebacker. So we figured we're going to start running, and that'll open up everything else. And that's exactly what happened. So 3 linebackers. Right now, if Micah's a linebacker, then I can make an argument for 3 linebackers with the addition of Kendricks, Clark, and Parsons. But if he's a defensive end, I got 2 linebackers.
Well,
I can't play a 4-3. And Overshown, but again, coming back
That's
from...
true. And he didn't have his rookie season to go through the learning curve.
Exactly.
So
now, he can still come in and help me at the nickel, right?
Absolutely.
If I move Parsons to the defensive end and I got Overshown, but I need linebackers. And you know what other reason I need linebackers? Because if they're going to play this new deal on kickoffs, I need linebackers to be able to cover.
You are correct. Bill Belichick has talked about it. Yes, linebackers are going to be something in need.
See, to Mickey's point, and we can.
Let me make sure I get him. I didn't get it.
Oh, how kind of you.
Since I hogged it.
No, you're good. No, I would say absolutely center for me. That's number 1 priority right now. But after that, whoever is the best player available in the front 7, I'm good with whatever position that can play all those positions that you just mentioned, Mickey. Whoever's the best player available. But going back to the O-line, it's such a necessity, more so to me personally, more so than drafting a great running back or someone that's really good, because we saw it last year, and we all talked about the running back room here with the Cowboys, even when they still had Tony Pollard. I feel like, and I'll just speak for myself, all of those running backs were talented guys, but still they were not productive, really.
They were difference makers.
They were not. Tony started picking it up towards the end of the season, the last month of the season. But even so where I'm going at is, I'll take it back to the O-line, and you having a very, very solidified O-line, not only for the passing game, because they did okay last year protecting Dak and all of that, but you have to establish the run, and I think it starts with the O-line and a center, a really good center that can be that plug-and-play type of guy that you're hopefully not having to give him a ton of, what do you call that? to grow development and having to wait on that. But yeah, that's the main priority for me right now.
And now here's the other thing, and I don't know if we got an indication of this or not on how much they trust Brock Hoffman.
Well, Steven said yesterday, and this is why I said I believe they believe in Brock Hoffman. They definitely believe in him, but there's a very obvious asterisk, and I don't think the asterisk is to his lack of ability or ceiling. It's to the fact that I don't know that they believe that this summer is enough to turn him into a full-time center, which is why they're entertaining getting a center no later than the third round. And I'm completely fine with that. But when you talk to Stephen Jones like we did last night, after the press conference was over, we asked about, okay, this third-round center coming in, what does that mean for Brock Hoffman? And he said whoever comes in better bring their lunch pail because Brock Hoffman's not going away easy. He's not going to give up that center position easy. So they want a lot of competition there, which is fine. But you got to come away with a center on day 3, and I hope it's before you go on the clock at 87, so preferably 73rd overall.
Day 2 then.
And day 2. And then Mickey, to Mickey's point, the Cowboys, again, they obviously need linebacker help. Eric Kendricks coming in does help them a bit in that capacity, especially with him being able to talk to Damone Clark and DeMarvion Overshown and whoever the rookie might be, help them acclimate quickly to Mike Zimmer's defensive playbook. That's, an intangible that works in their favor also. But if you know that you need a linebacker, particularly one who might be giving some special teams help as well, that's a lot of wear and tear. This is why I'm out on a guy like Peyton Wilson on NC State. Skill set, ridiculous, right? Production, ridiculous. None of those things are up for question. But I don't know how you can cover the Cowboys or be in this organization and not have PTSD for injured linebackers who have medical red flags, right? How many times are you going to be stung by an elite talent, or a situation, I should say, where it's an elite talent at linebacker whose career ends early because of injury? Dat Win with the neck. Sean Lee, hamstring, soft tissues wouldn't hold up. Most recently, Leighton Vander Esch, neck. Now you look at Peyton Wilson's injury history. Right. No doubting what he can do when he's healthy on the field. And I've said this before, the Cowboys' run of bad luck at linebacker is so concerning that I think Peyton Wilson can go somewhere else and be an all-pro linebacker and for 10 years. And he'll mess around and come to Dallas and ...
or he could go somewhere else and play 2 years.
Yeah, or that, right? So
he's had 2 ACLs. And this is in college, right?
This is too
this
much.
Ain't the NFL.
It's too much.
He's had 2 ACLs. He's had a left shoulder twice, a right shoulder, and an ankle operation in 2014.
So
longevity,
talent-wise,
right?
No question. Durability-wise, if you're the Cowboys, how can that not scare you off?
So if it was pick 174 in the 5th round,
he's
the guy.
He's not.
Then he probably somebody's going to take a chance.
When I just throw it out, that's it. Yeah. Then it's fine. But
other
if you
teams
say 80,
shouldn't have the same level.
If you say 87, you're like no. So that's what we're talking about. For me, you need some walk-in starters around here. You need some guys who are here to make some contributions.
And to that point, if it was any other offseason, any other draft in other years, then okay, because we've seen the Cowboys take risk in the 2nd round pick and taking whatever guy fell down and because of injuries, they bring him on. That's their MO. Is that how you say it? MO?
MO.
Yeah. That's their MO for 2nd round picks. But the point is, because of what everything is around this offseason, what happened, what did not happen in free agency, the amount of pressure that there is, I don't think you would want to take the risk.
It's far too much risk, and especially when the linebacker position has the depth it has, because you have other guys that you can, give a shot. Jeremiah Trotter Jr. out of Clemson, for example. If we're talking 4th round, maybe a guy like Cedric Gray, NC, also an ACC talent, played against Peyton Wilson.
But you don't have a 4. That's a problem.
You don't, right
now.
So
get
you
it
don't have a 4 because you have. You already have your static picks for 2025, and given who left in free agency, you're confident you're going to max out the number of comp picks. So if you play it that way, you can go ahead and trade away some of your 2025 static default picks to get a 4th round pick. So now you walk away, you got 2/3 because you got the 3rd from the Detroit Lions, and then maybe you use a couple of picks in the package from 2025 to get you back in the 4th round for 2024, because again, it's about right now. you worry about the later, and you got the comp picks coming anyway.
You got to figure you're going to get at least a fourth in the comp. You might get a third.
Exactly. So
if all these guys that sign.
Thank you, Dorrance, Tyler, Biadish.
Thank you, Dan Quinn.
Just get out there. Just get out there and play.
All right. That's the way to. Hey,
look
you
at
ain't
the
wrong.
positives.
You should get a pick
at the bright side.
for producing a head coach.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Hey, this was fun.
Yeah,
well, that's good.
And we'll see exactly what the Cowboys do. So they are drafting in round 2 and expected to make that pick at 56 at 743. The third round pick, number 73 overall, expected to make that at 846. And another third round pick, 87, expected to make that at 9:30 p.m. Of course, make sure you're on DallasCowboys.com.
Wait, I got one question. One question. Who's the best defensive tackle left?
T'Vondre Sweat.
The kid from Texas, and once again, I think of what does Zimmer want. This guy fits
Sweat.
what Zimmer wants, and you need to give it to him. And I'm sorry, I go back to the playoff losses, and you just see that they just run down your throat. They have to stop that. And if Mozzie can come back around and do whatever, fine. But I'm not counting on it. I can't trust Mozzie because trust requires 3 things: time, proof, and consistency. So yes, and then tell old boy from Texas, we limited all your friends.
I want him
limited all your friends.
I want him walking through that door right next to Tyler Guyton.
Listen, T'Vondre Sweat would not be the first player to suit up in the Cowboys uniform that needed some
help,
life coaching.
Yes.
Okay, so if there's any organization that has the facilities and the personnel to be able, and again, we talk about Mike Zimmer, you talk about a coach who might be the right man for life coaching T'Vondre Sweat. Yeah, I'm with that. That's why I mocked him as my second round pick.
All right, everybody enjoy the draft. It is rounds 2 and 3 today, then 4, 5, 6, and 7 tomorrow. That starts at 11 a.m. the third day. Day 2 starts at 6 o'clock. And make sure you're checking everything out you need to on DallasCowboys.com. This has been DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!